So I had a dream a while back about a girl. We were riding, we were driving. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Let me paint the scenery for you. So in my dream, we pulled up to a light, and we were in our cars, right? We pulled up to a light, and say I'm in the right hand lane, which is a turning lane, and the lady who was in the cars beside me, well, actually she was like 2 lanes over, I suppose. Yes, she was 2 lanes over. So she had her blinker on to get over, which would have technically been in the lane next to me. But my understanding in the dream was that she really wanted to get in the turning lane, right? But in order for her to actually get into the turning lane, which was my lane, she would have had to stop traffic completely to either go in front of the person, which would have meant they would have allowed her to go, or again, someone behind that person would have stopped traffic to let her get over. Okay, it would have completely disrupted traffic. Just keep that in mind. So we're at the light, and then it turns green. Well, no one lets this person over. She has to go through the light and then make a U-turn at the nearest, cul-de-sac, whatever you call those little things, you know what I'm saying? And then come back around. And I sat on this dream for a while, you know what I'm saying? But the Lord God had already shared with me what it was about, and he's just expressing to me that it's the time to talk about it. So we are under the constellation of Libra right now, and this is a season of justice, right? We know the Libra constellation to be about justice, judgment, balancing the scales, so on and so forth, right? And one thing this constellation is really big about is system and order, right? The only way for us to keep the peace is for things to be in order. Keep that in mind. Your Libra is not a peacemaker. They are a peacekeeper. And I think that that's the misconception that people have about Libras, because again, they think that either we're fickle and we'll, not saying that when we're unhealed, we don't have these characteristics. But what I am saying is that people tend to think that we will do whatever to keep or make peace, when in all actuality, we are the peacekeeper, meaning that we will do whatever we need to do to balance the scales and bring order to the court. And that at times can look like destruction. That at times can look like burning the house down. That at times can look like complete and utter desolation. It can look like woe. It can look like lamentation. It can look like sorrow. We will do whatever we have to do to balance the scales. That's what it means to keep the peace, not be a peacemaker. 2 totally different things. So in this dream, the woman who called herself trying to get over, she was trying to get in my lane, okay? She was trying to get in my lane, but we saw in the dream she could not, because for one, there was a barrier, which was the lane in between us, which forbid her from getting over. And also, she had to go through the light. So where she may have been calling herself cutting over or cutting into someone's lane, taking someone's space, whatever the case may be, she couldn't. And that's because order had to happen, meaning she had to continue straight. She had to go back up and, like I said, come back to the light, meaning wait for another light just for her to turn. Order. And so this is a season where justice is served. And people have been trying to, in some way or another, some fashion, cut, maybe get into someone's lane. And not just getting in their lane, but actually take their place. It's like, even last night, and this is why the Lord God brought it to me to say, like, it's time to speak about this. Even last night, I had a dream. I was in the mirror and I was fixing my face. There was a girl who quite literally, like, she walked right in front of me, in front of the mirror, and started doing her makeup right in front of me, as if I was not present, as if I was not there doing my doing my makeup and getting myself together. And I beat her ass. And I'm putting out a word about Libras and people born under this constellation and anger. So either it's before this one or after. But I'm saying this because, again, last night, it was maybe these past couple of nights, I've had dreams where I was beating ass. And it wasn't just strangers. It was family. It was so on and so forth. And I know that there's other meaning and other interpretation for that, which the Lord God has expressed to me. But I want to say on the surface, please be kind to your Libra. Please be kind to your Libra, okay? But anyways, back to what I was saying. She cut in front of me and she started doing her makeup. And so I beat her ass. And then somebody who was with her came from behind me and tried to jump me. And I beat her ass. And then it was the girl who was like from my high school. And it's so funny because the girl that I was seeing her face, me and this girl never had any type of association, but I recognized her in the dream like, oh, she went to high school with me. She was recording it on her phone, and I saw that she was recording it, and she was like recalling what had happened or whatever, and I went and I took her phone, and so she was just like, you need to chill out, da 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 da. And I told her what had happened, and she was like, oh, you know what, man, I didn't know all of that. You're not wrong. And so I gave her phone back, right? But after that, all the girls' friends, her little posse, they started coming at me one by one, and so we squared up one by one. So that wasn't the first dream I've had just within the past couple of days of me fighting people and quite literally whooping ass. But we're talking about justice being served, okay? So the Lord God made me recall the dream that I had about the girl trying to get over and cut in front of the people, the lane that was that was on the side of me to get in my lane, and how she could not. She had to go through the light and then come back to the light to turn. So even for her, that could have been a quote unquote inconvenience, but really and truly order was being restored. She was not in order. She was out of line, and she attempted to bypass the process. She wanted to skip steps, and she could not, because again, you are talking about order. You're talking about system and order. And that is one thing that divine justice will do, divine judgment will do, divine interruption will do, divine disruption will do, divine intervention will do. God will step in that situation, and he will command order in the court. And you will have to go back where you belong. And for some of you, or for some of them people, because I don't know who this applies to, that's at the back of the line. I'm just saying. Yep.